I've been to King's Dominion more times than any other park in the world, and so as a result of that, I feel that I know their coasters pretty well. What I'm doing in this video is counting down, in my opinion, what are the top 10 best coasters in the park. Now, as of August 9th, 2015, King's Dominion is removing a roller coaster, the Shockwave. However, conveniently enough, the Shockwave doesn't even make this countdown, so that has absolutely no effect on this video. So with that in mind, let's begin with our number 10 coaster, which is the Ricochet. This is your standard Wild Mouse coaster, although what makes this one a bit different from other Wild Mouses out there is that it does start off with a drop. Some Wild Mice just go straight into the switchbacks, but this is your family coaster. Really, it's nothing special. Next is the Hurler, and this coaster always gets mixed reviews. Some people hate it, some people don't mind it. So here's what I have to say. If you ride this coaster, ride it in the front row because all of the other seats on this coaster stink. You'll get a really rough ride. However, in the front row it is very tolerable and, dare I say, even fun. However, one thing's for sure, even though this coaster may be rough, you do get some good airtime on it. You do come up out of your seat on those airtime hills. Number 8 is another family coaster, the Backlot Stunt Coaster. This coaster has 2 launches, and it has some rapid transitions, some neat theming. Of course, they used to be called the Italian Job Stunt Track. It's a very tame coaster, but still fun. Next is the Avalanche, a Mack bobsled, one of the few left in the United States. It's a very enjoyable ride. Again, definitely geared more towards the families. And this coaster doesn't have any drops, it's all about the turns that it makes. Next we have our second wooden coaster to make this countdown, the Grizzly. This is a fan favorite for a lot of people. It gives an excellent night ride, it is secluded in the woods, which makes it very hard to get a view of this roller coaster. This coaster can run a bit rough sometimes, but it's still a fun ride. Number 5 is the Dominator. This might cause some argument in the comments as some people are fans of these type of roller coasters. However, I do not find the Dominator to be one of the greatest B&M floorlesses out there. The second half of the ride has a lot of headbanging. I mean, it's still B&M, so it can't be too bad. It's not rough, it just is rattly and kind of vibrates against the track. Like some coasters, this coaster can have its good days and its bad days, and I've seen both, and so because of that, I'm putting it at the number 5 spot. Next we have the indoor coaster at the park, the Flight of Fear. The Premier Rides Launch Spaghetti Bowl. This is a fun ride. It's not the smoothest, it can be kind of jerky, but it has a great launch, and you gotta love that in the dark factor, and it works very well with the theming that it has. Number 3 is one of my personal favorites, the Rebel Yell. Like the Dominator, this coaster can have its good and bad days. Some days it can run really smooth, and some days it can run kind of rough. But on the days that it runs rough, you really do pop out of your seat. This coaster gives you some good airtime no matter what. And so if you're a fan of airtime, then this is the coaster for you, and that is one of the reasons why I have put this coaster at the number 3. You really do get some great airtime on this ride. And of course it is a racing coaster, so it's always fun to race against the other train. Volcano the Blast coaster is coming in at number 2. This is the Intamin multi-launch. It starts off with a fantastic launch, goes around the backside of Volcano, and then hits you with another launch to fling you up over the top of the volcano. That is the best part of this coaster. But after it spits you out, it goes through some inversions and winds around the volcano. And that part of the ride is fine, but the main reason this coaster is coming in at number 2 is because the launch is so fantastic. It really gives you an adrenaline rush, and it's the only one like it in the world. Where else can you find a coaster that spits you out of a volcano? And of course, coming in at the number 1 spot is a coaster that won't surprise anyone. It's Intimidator 305, the crazy Dale Earnhardt themed Giga Coaster. This ride is so crazy that even when you leave the station and go up the lift hill, you are going so fast, and you spike up 305 feet and dive down an 85-degree angle, and experience probably one of the most intense moments, if not the most intense moment, on any roller coaster in the world. That first bank turn for Intimidator 305 will cause you to gray out and sometimes even black out. It is that intense. It is so crazy. This may not be the longest ride in the world, but it is so fast and intense, and it sticks low to the ground. You have these crazy rapid fire transitions. It truly is insane. One of the best in the world, and that is why it is coming in at the number 1 spot for the top 10 roller coasters at King's Dominion.